Okay, today is Monday, January 6th, 2025, a new year already. I want to welcome everyone to our city council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order, and if everyone would please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Don.
Here.
Kathy. Here. Marvin.
Here.
Brad.
Here.
Rodney.
Here.
Jessica. Here.
Entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
Second. A motion from Harley, second from Brad. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes. Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes.
Motion carried. Across the mayor's desk, today I'd like to thank Flynn McCann for being our videographer. And at this time, I would ask to meet Vicki Mallory up at the podium. I have a proclamation that I would like to share with her. Hi there.
Hi there.
This is honoring Vicki for her role in the Chamber of Commerce Director for the past 32 years. And she retired the 31st of December 2024. So whereas Vicki has been a dedicated, committed advocate for the businesses, events, activities, and individuals of the city of Algona and surrounding communities, and whereas she has elevated the awareness of our city to help Algona become a known community throughout the state of Iowa, and whereas Vicki has actively contributed to Algona's overall economic development, community development, and growth, and whereas Vicki has put the go at Algona and inspired many other businesses, staff, volunteers, residents, and others to join her in those efforts. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Rick Murphy, Mayor of the City of Algona and longtime member of the Algona Chamber of Commerce, declare January 6, 2025 as Vicki Mallory Day in honor of her years of service and commitment to her role. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Before she gives a big speech, we're gonna make her take a picture. You know, what if we stand along with the city council behind you?
There you
So
go.
we do that real quick.
Okay. And you never said anything about a speech.
I'm just teasing, kinda. We'll just do a nice photo of everyone together. And everybody looking, 1, 2, 3. Good job, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Always great working relationship with the city, and I do appreciate it. Seems like just yesterday, honestly. So I just told Bo, he wanted to know, he was jealous of me retiring. I'm like, well, you can too, but don't wait as long as I did. But thank you. This means a lot to me.
Good, yeah. And best wishes in your retirement.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Vicki. And at this time, Jacob would like to share my top 10 events and achievements for 2024.
The year 2024 has been action-packed for the city of Algona. Thank you for joining me for a State of the City address delivered to you as the mayor's top 10 of 2024. I'll discuss the top 10 events or accomplishments of the past year. I'll start with number 10, the Nebraska Street Corridor Project. This project was identified as part of Algona's Community Visioning Project in 2024, design began, and we will soon finalize plans for several improvements in the Nebraska Street area. Our goals with this project are to improve the overall accessibility, functionality, and vibrancy of the Nebraska Street Corridor. This space includes the downtown parking area, cultural organizations such as the POW and the Historical Society Museum, future Carnegie Center for the Arts, the Carnegie Lawn, and other nearby businesses. Phase 1 of this project will involve the reconstruction of the Nebraska Street into blocks of Thornton Street, as well as improvements to sanitary mains and other underground utilities. Additional trees, vegetation, and other green infrastructure will also be added to this area. So watch for progress on this project in 2025. Number 9, the record flooding. Algona had its 3rd highest river crest in 2024 and unusually heavy rainfall throughout the spring. The April-May timeframe in Algona was one of the wettest on record for the past 130 years. June rainfall was also higher than average with 11.3 inches in total and 3.8 inches in just 2 hours on June 4th. All of this water created a flooding issue that impacted area homes, parks, roads, and many summer events and activities. In response to numerous property owners reporting sewer backups in May, the city of Algona took immediate steps to better manage pumping and bypassing of the sanitary sewer system. The city purchased 2 6-inch pumps, 5 4-inch pumps, a utility trailer, and other equipment. Having preloaded equipment on a designated trailer for rapid response enabled the wastewater department to respond effectively during heavy rain events that followed. In addition, the city created a plan to learn more about the cause of the inflow and the infiltration impacting people's homes, which leads us to number 8, the sanitary sewer inspection program. In October, the city of Algona partnered with WHKS and Company to conduct mandatory sanitary sewer connection inspections in designated neighborhoods. The goal of this program is to identify homes that have illegal connections to the sanitary sewer system, as inflow from these connections can overload the system and cause sewer backups. In 2024, approximately 200 home inspections were completed, with additional homes assigned for the spring of 2025. Number 7, the wastewater treatment facility project. In May, the city hosted a groundbreaking ceremony for the wastewater treatment facility construction project. This historic community endeavor will span 3 construction seasons and cost an estimated $28 million. The goals of the project are to meet the required standards of the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Strategy, replace aging equipment, and increase the flow and the loading capacity for the facility. The new facility is expected to be operational by this fall of 2025, with additional removal work continuing throughout 2026. You can view project updates and photos of the construction at algonaiowa.gov/wastewater. Number 6, Petland donation from the Tietz Foundation. In March, the Donald R. Tietz Charitable Foundation donated 51 acres of land to the city of Algona to expand and improve public parks and recreation in the community. The site of the former Pet Auction House, located south of the Algona Aquatic Center and South Park pickleball courts, was purchased by the Tietz Foundation and gifted to the city for park development. The land includes open green space, wooded areas, and access to the East Fork Des Moines River. I look forward to sharing more details with you about the plans for this park later in the upcoming year. Number 5, the urban forest utility and emerald ash borer mitigation. In the spring, the city added an urban forest utility fee of $2 per month to create a supplemental source of funds for the management of our public trees in parks, cemeteries, green spaces, and right-of-way areas, the operation and management of the brush pile and compost site at Veterans Park, and perhaps most notably, the treatment and removal of ash trees in response to the presence of the emerald ash borer. Since the emerald ash borer was confirmed in Kossuth County in 2022, the city has taken an aggressive approach to remove, treat, and replace ash trees. If you haven't done so already, check out the city programs available for treating emerald ash borer and planting replacement trees. Number 4, the airport runway extension project. This project began in 2023, continued in 2024, and will have more progress in 2025. Grading and drainage improvements are complete on this project, which includes the placement, adjustment, and extension of the airport's runway. The Airport Commission is seeking a grant from the Federal Aviation Administration to cover approximately 90% of the project costs. The next phase of the project, which will include paving and runway work, is slated for August of this year, 2025. Number 3, new bike lanes. The concept of using bicycle lanes to connect recreational trails with other community assets was also identified in Algona's community visioning sessions. In the fall of 2024, bike lanes were added to East McGregor Street to create a connection between the end of the current recreational trail to the Algona Middle and High School campus and surrounding neighborhoods. The painted bike lanes and additional signage offer improved safety for bikers and support traffic calming on East McGregor Street. Number 2, economic development. As a community, Algona celebrated several success stories related to economic development in the past year, including the opening of the Grand State Hotel on Highway 18, the Appliance Plus store on State Street, as well as expansions of other businesses in our community. It's been a good year. We've also seen successful transitions following the retirement of 2 longtime economic development leaders, Vicki Mallory of the Algona Area Chamber of Commerce, and Maureen Elbert with the Kossuth and Palo Alto County Economic Development Corporation. We're very fortunate to have a diverse mix of businesses in Algona and lots of great options for shopping and dining. And now, number 1, Central Park project. In August, nearly 100 people gathered to celebrate the completion of the splash pad and the Central Park redevelopment efforts. Hundreds more people enjoyed splashing in this new park feature after it opened on August 13th. The Central Park redevelopment project was a multi-year project that began in 2021 with the removal of the deteriorating skate park and basketball courts, followed by the construction of new sidewalks, dugouts, and fencing at the ball diamond. In the fall of 2022, construction of the new skate park began. The second phase of the project began in the summer of 2023 with the removal of the old sidewalk on the north and east side of the park, construction of new and wider sidewalks, and the groundwork for the splash pad. In 2024, we saw finishing work on the splash pad, as well as the shelter house improvements, landscaping, and park benches. The splash pad remained open to the public into early October before it was closed and it needed to be winterized for the season. We look forward to a full season of the splash pad in 2025. A sincere thank you to all who supported this project through ideas and input, creating and constructing the space, or contributing to the community campaign that helped fund this project. So in conclusion, thank you to the city council members who serve our community: Jessica Grono, Kathy Dearsh, Rodney Davis, Don Johnson, Brad Hoover, and Harley Colehouse. I also want to thank all the people who served on the city's boards, commissions, and committees, as well as the city staff who oversee our daily city operations. We're fortunate to have a dedicated and capable team in place to serve the residents of Algona. And finally, I want to thank you, our citizens. Thanks for being involved in our community and doing your part to make Algona a great place to live, work, and play. Thanks for a great year in 2024. Together we can, together we will, and together we are creating an amazing community now and for the future.
Are you on the Today Show?
I don't know, I didn't know where he was going with that. I do want to thank Joanne Rupke-Bodie for assisting with that video. update, so, yeah.
I want to thank all of those of you who found yourself in the video. That maybe didn't know your house was going to be in it, or I guess everyone's going to smile very big the next time we take a city council picture, because you never know how we're going to use that, right? You're very welcome.
Yeah, thanks again to certainly the staff and city council for being such forward-thinking individuals and as a group. So we appreciate the progress in Algonah because of all of us in this room and others that are all working together. So, council have anything that they would like to share? Anything else? If not, we'll move to an update from the city administrator.
Just a few items to remind people. Reservations for the city's shelter houses at Veterans Park and Teets Park are now open to be reserved for the 2025 season. And then if you still have a holiday or Christmas tree to get rid of, it's been taken, all the decorations have been taken off. Those can be taken to the the Veterans Park compost site for disposal.
Thank you. We'll move then to the consent agenda, and that includes approving the minutes from our December 16th work session and our regular city council meeting that day, approve the bills to be paid this cycle, and approve a Class B retail alcohol license for the Hy-Vee food store. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Don. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 9 is new businesses. This is the second reading of an ordinance amending a zoning classification.
This ordinance amends the lot on Spruce Street outlined there, the red dashed line from RM4 multifamily to RS60 single-family residential. This is the second reading. We have not received any comments or feedback on the ordinance.
Motion to waive the second reading.
Second. We have a motion and a second to waive the second reading. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the second reading. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the second reading of this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 10 is an ordinance pertaining to Board of Adjustment, the length of terms.
So, as you see later in the agenda, number 17, we have a notification of terms expiring for 3 of our Board of Adjustment members. That's a 5-member board, and so having 3 up in a single year is not ideal, just for the institutional knowledge of that board, especially Board of Adjustment. They deal with a lot of complicated and quasi-judicial matters. To address that, borrowed language that we had in our when we established our tree board to grant council the discretion, so we don't have a significant number of persons up for reappointment the same year. So this ordinance does is amend the Board of Adjustment establishment procedure ordinance of the city, repeals and replaces it with the only language change being that highlighted on the screen, which allows that the council may appoint a board member for a term of less than 5 years, so that no more than 2 board members have terms which expire in the same year. So if the agenda item later on, rather than appointing all through to a 5-year term, one of those could be appointed for a term less than that to ensure that we keep those members' terms staggered. So given the appointment coming up, it was listed on the agenda as the first, second, and third reading. I would recommend considering all 3 readings and adopting the ordinance at this meeting so we can get it published and in effect before our next council meeting when the positions will be eligible for appointment.
And move to waive the first reading.
Can we do this all at once, or do we have to Let's do the first one first.
Yeah,
And then the
first
second
one first,
first,
then we can waive the second, third readings, and then we can adopt.
I can read it 3 times too.
That's Paul,
Read all three.
He wanted to talk earlier.
Okay, we've got a motion from Brad, a second from Don, to waive this first reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried.
Move to approve the first reading.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Don to approve this first reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried.
Move to waive the second, third readings.
Second.
Motion and a second to waive the second and the third reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Brad to, we need to approve the second, third reading.
But we didn't read them.
Well, let's approve it, you know, we're
Okay.
Okay.
do the motion to approve the second, third reading.
Okay, we'll move to approve the second and the third reading then.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. Harley and Brad. Any discussion?
Trick the mayor up.
Tried. Vote please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried.
Then move to adopt.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Brad to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 11, this is a resolution concerning the library exterior improvements project.
So this is resolution approves issuing the notice to bidders and then setting the public hearing regarding the plans, specifications, and form of contract for Phase 2 exterior improvements to the Algonah Public Library. This is a rebid of the project that was bid back in June of 2024, which prices that we got on that were much higher than what we expected, and after the architect went back, looked at their numbers, where we suspect it was just the timing of the year of that bid, which was led to those higher than anticipated amounts. So there's been a couple tweaks, but the project is substantially the same. And so as what was approved back in the summer. So this resolution authorizes the beginning of that project. We propose to post plans tomorrow on January 7th. The bid window will be open for 3 weeks. Have bid opening on Tuesday, January 28th at 2 p.m. And then holding the public hearing and considering awarding the construction contract at the February 3rd City Council meeting.
Remind me, is this reworking the outside wall or tuck pointing or covering or what?
There will be some tuck pointing involved, but it's mainly recovering of the old portion that was not renovated previously. We're using 3 different types of materials. It will be the gray metal, a dark brick, and then a wood look product that will be spaced throughout the exterior. We did make a couple of changes from the previous ideas. One thing is to simplify the east side of the building. Hopefully that will reduce some of the costs. Rather than changing from one material to the next, it would be mainly the metal covering on that east side. And then we are planning to replace a door that we didn't do with the initial renovation. We've had some inside damage due to rain. And so that will solve that problem. And then we're also replacing another door on the south side so that it matches what we currently have with one of the other doors.
Okay. And as I've driven by there, have you had troubles with those exterior lights?
I thought that question might come up tonight. short story on a very long story is that we have two different systems of lights. And I have been on numerous telephone calls, email exchanges, and remote tech support with the electricians and the manufacturers and the suppliers and the distributors, and now I'm back to the electrician again. Two different things. We need to replace a module for the can lights, and one of the suppliers said that should still be under warranty, so we're going back and forth on that at this point. And then for the lights that have the colors, I've swapped out the controller, and at this point they're saying now it sounds like our power supply has failed and we need to replace that. So I'm back to the electrician to see what they will do for us. It has been a long, drawn-out process. I'm thoroughly unhappy about it, but we keep making steps forward and hope to get that resolved soon.
Motion to approve the resolution to put to bid and set public hearing.
Second.
A motion from Ron, a second from Don. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Lori, for your work. Agenda item number 12 and 13, I can just let everyone know together, these two resolutions are acknowledging repayment of a small business loan from Threads. So the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund was taken out in November of 2019, and an emergency small business revolving loan fund in April of 2020, and those have both been repaid. So, is there anything more, Jacob, you would like to add to that? Or?
Nope, we just take them as two separate action items, but,
Yeah, okay. So I'm entertaining a motion to approve the resolution on agenda item number 12 first.
so moved.
Second?
Motion from Don, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. And then agenda item number 13.
Move to approve agenda item number 13.
Second?
Motion from Brad, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Or Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And thank you, Trish and Vic, for the repayment of both of those revolving loan fund loans. Agenda item number 14, this is a resolution approving professional services agreement with Bolton & Mank.
This is the update to the annual general engineering services agreement that we have with Bolton Mink. The only I guess, change of note would be for the hourly rate, or the discounted hourly rate that we receive on the first 20 hours of work in a month. That's increasing by $3 an hour, but otherwise the rest of the agreement is the same as the past versions. This is just when and if we need them on projects, whether it's kind of informal work, just looking at something, that's when we'll typically use those up, those first 20 hours at a discounted rate, and then has all the fine print contract language for when we actually sign work agreements with them, task orders for formal design or construction management that then references this for to capture all that general language.
Vote to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Brad, to approve this resolution. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb.
Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 15 is a resolution amending City Council rules of procedure.
We've made a habit that annually at the start of the calendar year, we'll review our city council rules, since we did a comprehensive update to them in 2022. The proposed rules that you have in front of you, there's a few kind of grammatical, semantics changes, but the only substantive change is regard to appointments and notifications, boards and commissions. So this last legislative session, the state repealed the Iowa's gender balance law, and the process we have to go through for identifying and appointing citizens to boards and commissions. So that law repealed, we struck that language that will follow that. And then instead of going through 3 meetings of notification before appointment, this change would have just an initial notification and then a final notification and appointment at the second meeting instead of doing it over 3. We keep doing it at 3, but we might speed things up on a lot of them where we know it's not necessary to stretch it out any longer if we have people that are willing to serve.
I'm just glad to hear that repeal, because we want to give the best people in position, no matter who they are, whoever. So I move to approve this.
Second. Motion from Harley, second from Brad, to approve this resolution. Any discussion? Roll please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy, yes. Harley,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Jessica, yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 16 is concerning property tax exemption applications.
I received 2 urban revitalization applications, which is tax abatement, from Rebecca and Aaron Lewis. One is for the property of 111 South Main Street. They did approximately $52,000 worth of updates to the property, insulation, adding a restroom, etc. And the second is for the property purchased down here on Fall Street, which will house the Reef. That has since been transferred over to ABEC Properties, which is simply Aaron Lewis. They're doing approximately $100,000 worth of improvements there. Back in 23, I believe, when the state passed House File 718, when we do an urban revitalization approval, we are required now to have a minimum assessment agreement of the property, which is a little confusing because we're talking about the added value in their building permit. So it really doesn't matter, but we have to do it. So what I did for that, the minimum assessed value, I took the assessed value of each property prior to any improvements, and that's the assessed value that we set. Aaron and Rebecca will sign their minimum assessment agreements, and we're ready for the council to approve them.
The assessor is the one that ultimately determines the value added, with our tax abatement. That value added isn't taxed, so whether it's $5,000 or $50,000, it doesn't make a sense from, the money going in now, because it's just not collected until it becomes eligible for taxes. So it's some extra paperwork, but from a practical standpoint, it's no real impact.
Hopefully that's something our legislature will correct this year.
So this action item is to approve the 2 applications and then the 2 associated minimum assessment agreements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Don. Any discussion? Roll please, Deb.
Don,
Yes.
Kathy, yes. Harley,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Jessica, yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And thank you, Lucis, for your investments continuing in that work. Agenda item number 17, this is the second notification, terms expiring on the Board of Adjustment. Steve McCauley, Shara Long, and Bob Ketchum's terms all expire the 28th of January of 2025. This board consists of 5 members who are appointed by the council, and they serve 5-year terms. So again, this is just the second notification. Those terms expired on the Board of Adjustment. Agenda item number 18, this is the final published agenda item. This is a discussion on our 25 26 calendar year budget or fiscal year budget.
There's two items I'd like to get through tonight. Knowing that a lot of our heavy lifting will come at this next council meeting and at the two special council meetings that we have scheduled for the fourth Monday of the month at 5. But the first one is regarding the police department and discussions we've had with the school. Well, going back now here a couple of years, but a little bit more detail here these last few months about looking at the potential of a school resource officer. So still some items to work through, but it will have a fiscal impact on our upcoming budget and ultimately an agreement that will have to be agreed to between the school and the city if the school elects to move forward with that position. And so what I shared with you with the printouts was a draft of a SRO agreement between Algona Schools and the city to have a city officer be an SRO for the schools, and then as well as a breakdown of, and this is based on our current fiscal year FY25, what we'd be looking at in terms of costs for wages and things like that. So I can go through and just highlight and point out a few sections of the agreement. In the conversations we've had with the school, we think the fundamentals are all there, just probably some in the weeds things to be solidified. But before I get to that, Chief Miller, if you want to kind of give an
Yeah,
overview.
obviously this is, I believe school board meets next Monday, right? Next Monday, that's when, I believe they're voting on it at that point, so that's when we will know for sure. Sounds like they've had, very promising communication with the school board, and it sounds like they know where the funding can come from on their end, which is great. And yeah, so I've been sat down with Superintendent Joe Carter a few times, going through some of these items, and hopefully this goes through because it'd be a great safety avenue to be bringing someone into our schools and just helping build what we already have with them and continuing to get growth there. So no, we're very excited about that. I don't know if you want to go over percentages, kind of that, or if you guys can see that.
Kind of go through by page and kind of highlight some of the things. So the proposed cost share would be the school would pay 75% and the city 25%, and that's based on the assumption, understand that they're working 3/4 of their time during the school year. They just be working for the school during things like winter break. The summer holiday, at that point, they'd be working for the city and used to, we've got a lot of, it's good to have a department with a lot of veterans. One of the drawbacks of that is we've got a lot of times that, a lot of people have earned benefits and leave. And so just between that, trainings, illness, just periodical turnover, there's, having that extra person in the summer could certainly be helpful to fill some of those gaps, even if, during the school year, they're working primarily at the school. So that's where the 75% comes from. Some of the things that, kind of finer details that we might need to settle out yet is some of it's on how the overtime works, and if it's, during the school week, and we have a call that they respond to, or the school requests overtime. Some of those things, time off of, school, how that works with the school schedule versus the city schedule, and then how the costs might be handled on some of the equipment in the vehicles. So kind of just going through the agreement there on page 2 at the bottom, duration. Right now, the agreement would begin August 23rd, 2025. Obviously, we need to have someone hired, trained, and in place well before that, but it would be proposed to start at the beginning of this upcoming school year. Going to the following page, item number 3, employment status. They would be a City of Algona employee, overseen by the police chief, and then supervised And then consultation with the district, doing the performance evaluation and management of the SRO officer. They would be, school's in full session, they would be assigned to school on a full-time basis with additional hours as requested by the school, and then working with them in terms of, if there's games or, events going on, if they want them at, or which campus and facility they're located at. And then on the final page there, just that financing, that the district would reimburse the city at a rate of 75% of the SRO's annual salary and benefits. So with that, and that kind of ties into the Excel sheet that I printed for you, just kind of showing the all-in cost for a police officer with the city. This is based on the current year, so depending on where they're at in experience, if they're coming in, as a newly certified officer, or if they have several years, that's where our wages will vary, and then the IPERS and FICA vary with that. And then insurance, whether they're on a single plan or a family plan, there can be a big difference in that. So that's where we get to kind of that all-in costs for personnel between $80,000 and $112,000 more or less. And then below there's a breakdown of if we were have to buy all new equipment and a vehicle for this 11th officer, that would be with the vehicle, graphics, equipment, computers, kind of the maximum cost for that we anticipate to be about $77,000. There are some things we look at in terms of reusing vehicles and some alternative funding sources for some of the computer and IT that Chief Miller's been leading discussions on. But one of the things that was in the agreement that we've had discussions with the school and how to narrow it down depending on how we put this package together. But looking at if we're having to basically look at $80,000 for a vehicle, all the equipment, cameras that come with that. How do we handle that cost? What we've discussed is something of kind of just looking at what's the, even though we're cash basis, but just look at what the standard depreciation is. Typically 5 years on vehicles, we'd be trying to stretch it a little bit further, but come to that number, and then basically, okay, if it's 5, divide that by 5, school pays 75%, pay, ourselves 25% of that. Don't expect the school to make a big upfront capital expense on that, because the equipment will be owned by the department, but kind of something that could be allotted to go for that for the school's use. And then if for some reason, if in a year or two, no longer continuing this program, it was only paid, the equipment was paid for what it was used for. So those are kind of just the outlining the fundamentals of the agreement with looking at school kind of all-in costs on wages and benefits. School paying 75%, the city paying 25%, and to be determined on how we handle some of those equipment purchases. So my understanding, Brad, if you correct me, I think in terms of funding, the school's looking at probably making that decision on kind of funding commitment here in the next January, February, but then we'd be looking at a couple months before kind of signing the agreement. But we won't want to wait too long, because by the time we get a job description made, reviewed by all the parties, get that posted, we would anticipate, certainly accepting applications internally, but that would, accept outside applicants. If it's an internal hire, then we'll have to start that all over and hire a new patrol officer.
And then we've already, just because they fill up so fast, just to make sure whoever gets this position, if it goes through, we obviously have to understand if it goes through, that person we need to get to a school. There's 2 schools. There's actually, we're very fortunate, there's one in Altoona this year. I've already signed up solely because it was almost full. And I haven't talked to the guy in charge, but just, I want to make sure if and when this happens, our person's going in, they're ready to go with all the tools, and that would be this summer. I obviously can't wait till school starts to have that. We need them ready to go. So certain trainings, unfortunately, would have to happen during the summer on city time as well. But that's, it's some of it's worth it just to make sure we're getting the right people and getting the people in our school. Do you guys have any questions?
I think it's just a great collaboration. I think it will happen. Yeah, on our end, school and work with the city.
Yeah, thanks for working on this.
Appreciate it.
So we'll continue to kind of forge ahead with that, and then imagine we'll, our future budget meetings, revisit it again, and then, the school approves funding, anticipate and finalizing a proposed agreement during here in the spring, for council approval to enter into that agreement with the school for the service officer.
Anything else from me?
Thank you.
All right.
And then, second I want to go over some of our revenues and kind of our outlook, for the upcoming year. So the property tax valuations. No one likes taxes, right?
Not to throw things.
So for the upcoming fiscal year FY '26, those are based on property valuations as of January 1st, 2024. So we're looking at about 0.6% increase in our taxable value, going up from 260 million to 261 million. That's the taxable value. And then for our general levy, so like what pays, the A10 that pays utilities, operating costs, wages. Our value for calculating our debt service levy, which has some other things in there that are discounted, increasing about 1.5 million. Like I said, we're still looking at less than 1% growth in both of those. And if you look at, historically, where we're in FY '20, our general fund regular tax levy, was greater than what it's going to be here this year with all the property tax reforms here over the last several years, basically taking out or removing all the growth that we would have otherwise had. So that's why it'll still be a challenging year in terms of how do we, pay for those day-to-day items, just with what we can tax with the caps that we have on those. But at least it's a increase. Last year we went down by nearly 4%. And the rollbacks came in. Residential is about 47% instead of 46. So at least it's in the right direction, but not much of a change. So we should, revenue-wise on taxes, we should more or less, anticipate being anywhere from flat to about 1% up in revenue. And looking at some of our other key revenue sources, local option sales tax has really been a savior for our budget in recent years. Going back to 2020, when we saw the state change the laws regarding how online sales tax was collected. And so for larger businesses that make sales in state, by the county, those now get captured and distributed. So that's when we saw a big jump from 720 to 928. We peaked at a little over $1 million in revenue in 2022, just finishing up on kind of the COVID era that we were in. And then kind of where we're at looking at for year to date, we're right on target to be kind of that $975 million mark. And so for now, what we have tentatively in the budget is just continuing that over projecting $975,000 in revenue, which year to year we have obviously isn't a change, but we look at our property tax income 2020 versus today, we're the kind of the wrong direction, whereas this one we've seen noticeable intake that's been able to help us cover those costs. And say we used to things like a lawnmower or a pickup truck, those were paid for just out of the general fund. Now when we need those things, those are budgeted for and paid for with local option sales tax. On the road use tax, we should see an increase in that too. Right now, we've got, in our current budget, we've got about $720,000 budgeted. For the upcoming budget, we're projecting $754,000. That's a little bit discounted, but based off a per capita estimate that the state provides to each jurisdiction that receives that distribution from the state. And this funds the street department wages, their operations, and then major equipment. We are going to be looking at needing a new dump truck this upcoming year. There won't be the fund balance in that to cover it, or enough revenue for that. So again, that's another item that we'll plan to use local option sales tax for to cover the cost. And then hotel motel, I didn't get this one updated, but we're, for now, what we had in the FY25 budget of $195,000, plan to continue that. For the upcoming fiscal year, I think our numbers ended up coming in at, I want to say like 185, 183, which was down a little bit than we expected, but some of that is, just depending on what construction projects going on in the area, and we see some of those spikes. So this is one of them we always want to, we'd rather budget conservatively and then be pleasantly surprised. But based on just the initial numbers right now, we're planning that revenue to more or less be the same as in the past year. One thing that we've discussed in the past with Ways and Means that should be revisiting here in the near future, just with full council, is perhaps looking at that allocation of where hotel motel tax dollars go and changing that up some. There's certain funding requirements we have to be at to meet state law, but that's a formula that hasn't been updated in nearly 20 years. So the growth we've seen since then of moving some of that around, and one of the items we'll discuss with that is earmark with some of those funds to go towards the development of the PAC property, because that would be one of the eligible expenses that we're required to spend at least 50% of that revenue on. So, but for now, we're kind of just playing the same numbers as we had. And since we're at 2 hours, we'll kind of leave that. I guess I'll include this one final graph, just kind of showing our growth in here in recent years. But in the last 10 years, 20 years, we've gone from 45,000 to 190,000 in 2023. Here in the last, about 10 years, more or less doubling what's been coming in with the additional hotel rooms we've seen added, as well as that tax rate going from 5 to 7%. I will email you a copy of this along with some of our other revenue numbers as we kind of get working ahead of the next council meeting when we get kind of heavier in the budget. So I have some time to prep on that, and then we'll start going, meeting with the departments.
Okay, thank you very much for that update. It's 6:02, and we're at the end of our published agenda, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn our city council meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion from Riley, second from Jessica. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.